Hello, it's Kathy and Rosie Vesperina, and we're starting this video as we're turning on to the Ridgeway. I decided not to include the video from getting from my house to the Ridgeway, just so it wasn't a really long video. The Ridgeway is a road obviously on the Central Coast, but one that is a little bit hairy McClary from Donaldson's Dairy for me. I did it a while back when I went to Bamboo Buddha for lunch after we did a training practice at the university with Fee and another riding friend. And it was raining and I was a bit scared, and we only did a partial portion of the Ridgeway. And this time I'm going to do the whole Ridgeway. So we're starting at Lisarow. We're on the Ridgeway now, and I'm going to ride it all the way through to, I guess, the Shelley Beach kind of area where I'm heading to. I'm actually heading to Tawoon Bay, to a place called Kim's Hideaway Retreat, I think is the name, because I've got a friend that's staying there for a mini holiday from Sydney, and so I just thought I'd pop up and have a cup of tea and a chat to see them again. So that's lovely. So it is a great day today for the ride. It's, I don't know, maybe 21 or 22 degrees. Surprisingly, there's not a lot of traffic on the road, and the road looks so much better than I remember it when it was raining. I'm really surprised. There's a house on the left just up here a bit further that a friend of mine used to own, a kind of a farmlet that I absolutely loved, but they aren't there anymore. But it was great, and I used to go and visit her. But when I drive home at night on this road, I was always really scared. But ironically, I did not feel that scared today riding it. I only had a couple of cars behind me, but I was doing the speed limit, and as you can see at this stage, not many cars in front of me, but a reasonably steady stream of cars coming in the opposite direction. So I guess for me, that drop off to the left of me, I think is enough to cause a bit of an injury. So I always worry that people are going to cross over the double white lines and squish me off the road on the other side. But we were okay. The speed limit, I think, is around 60 along here. I had terrible trouble trying to get the Garmin Zumo XT2 to track the route for me. So as an example, if I put it into Google Maps on my iPhone, it gives me a couple of alternate routes, and the route on this that I'm trying to take now on the Ridgeway is one of those. But when I put the destination into the Garmin, it only gives me one route to take, which wasn't the one I wanted to take. And so I tried to plot it, but it plotted, so sorry, I'll just pause there. So previously I would have kept going to the left there, but to the right there, but now we're going left to stay on the Ridgeway. And it gets a bit windier around here. So back to the story. I plotted the route on the Garmin, but then when I went to play it, it didn't work. It only took me to the turn-off to the Ridgeway and didn't plot. So the rest of it was on there, but it didn't give me instructions. So I was a bit disappointed with that. So anyway, I'm sure that that's user error, not the error of the Garmin, and you can see I keep fiddling with it to see where I am on the road just to get my bearings. What made this ride, I think, a bit easier for me were two things: the weather, how glorious is it, but also the car in front of me that I'm keeping a good 3 seconds behind, which is what they taught me in riding school, is travelling at a fairly slow pace, so up pace under 60 kilometres an hour. The speed limit is 60, but they are travelling just under that. So that made it perfect for me. It was almost like they were a learner and they were just doing a speed that I was comfortable with. I probably had 2 or 3 cars behind me now, but they weren't trying to push ahead. They kept a very safe distance from me, so I was kind of in a little cocoon, really, in the front and in the back, quite protected. The road in parts along here you probably can't see, although you may see the bike bounce a little bit, is a little bit rough and juttery. And so at one point when I was riding along, I thought, do I have a flat tyre? Because this juttery noise and feeling is really, really bad. But then I moved on to a smoother piece of the road, and it was fine. So it's just the quality of the road, unfortunately. As you can see, it's kind of windy, nice and windy, not too windy, and so good for practicing the corners and managing the bumpy road. I'll try and be a little bit more quiet and let you just enjoy the scenery and the road. The other thing I've been thinking, that silence didn't last very long, did it? The other thing I've been thinking is, I'm wondering whether Rosie needs another service. I know she had her 1,000 kilometre service, but she's up to 2,500 now. And she feels like she's just a little rough, or she sounds a little rougher than what I remember she was like. So I might take her in to have another service, and I might try a different place that does service, because when I was looking at bikes with Fee the other day, the person in the Honda shop, I happened to mention that I had a Vespa. Oh, we have to stop here for some roadworks ahead. When I mentioned I had a Vespa, he said, oh, he used to work repairing Vespas in Sydney. So that made me think, well, maybe I will take it to him, given that he has had experience on working on Vespas. So I think I'll book Rosie in to have a service at the Honda shop. They actually sell more than Hondas. They had Honda and Suzuki and Yamaha, a whole lot of different ones. We go past these people working on the road here at this 15 kilometre turn, and what was funny was the gentleman that we just rode past had a big smile and had a good look at Rosie as she rode past, so she must have tickled their funny bone a little bit. I honestly don't know why I was so worried about this road. I think, you know how sometimes you build things up in your head to be worse than what they are, and I think that's what's happened here. I've built it up because I had a scary experience when I used to drive it, when my friend lived there, at night time, and when I had a little bit of a more scary experience riding Rosie in the rain. It was much better riding it today. I really enjoyed it. So it just goes to show you. So what I'm doing is making a list of roads that I'm a little bit scared about riding on, and I'm going to tackle them over summer. So this was one of them. Riding up Carryong Hill scares me a little bit, mainly because I don't know whether Rosie has enough grunt to get up Carryong Hill, but that's another one I plan to tackle. The road up to Pie in the Sky in Cowan scares me. I haven't tackled that yet, and I won't tackle that one by myself. I'll wait to go with somebody I know, because I think I like having somebody in front of me that I can kind of follow, and I don't have to concentrate on anything other than the road and following that person and seeing what line they take. So I think for Pie in the Sky, or Pits as people also call it, is on the list and will be when I can go with a friend. So Carryong Hill, Pits. There's another ride that I'm going to do tomorrow to Booty National Park, and the roads to there are also a little bit hairy McCleary from Donaldson's Dairy. So I'll tackle that tomorrow, and I'll obviously video it so that I can make a little YouTube clip of it so you can see how I go. The ride takes you down to Putty Beach, I think it's called, another lovely beach on the coast, where I'm going to do a hike. So there's three things that I love doing. One is hiking, one is riding Rosie, and the third is photography. So I would love a life where all I had to do was ride somewhere, hike, and take photos while I'm hiking. What kind of a life would that be? That'd be fabulous. And travel there, because obviously you've got to travel to go to the different locations. So when I win Lotto, those will be my goals, and maybe a little bit of part-time work to keep my brain active. As a psychologist, I need to keep the brain stimulated, so maybe that will be a little bit of 1 or 2 days a week doing that, and the rest travelling, riding, photography and hiking. Fabulous. So that's the end of the Ridgeway, and I can't remember the name of this road, but I cut filming just in that little spot there because I had to pull over because Mr. Garmin was not being my friend and I had no idea where I was. And then I found my bearings, got back on the road, and there's another section further up where I cut out a whole section because it's just bumper to bumper traffic, and that's not very interesting to watch. It took me such a long time to get through it. But this part here is still just lovely. I'm just going to have a sip of my cup of tea while we're watching. Because I'm so spatially challenged, I often pop out in locations and think, oh, I know where I am. And when we get to the end of this road, that is exactly what is going to happen. I'm going to come to an intersection that has a roundabout, and I'm going to think, oh my gosh, I know exactly where I am. And then I laugh to myself and think, oh my Lord. The other thing that I've done differently, is this the roundabout? Yes, so this is the roundabout, and I've been from the other direction along that around that roundabout and back in the direction I came. I couldn't tell you how many times, hundreds of times over my lifetime that I've lived here. Crazy. I was going to tell you something then, and I've lost it. So we're coming up to an intersection now that brings us to the left. You can go to Mingara or keep heading along that road and you end up at Tuggerah, the big Westfield Tuggerah shopping, and the big intersection there that we've been to plenty of times. or you can turn right, which is what we're doing now, and heading towards Shelley Beach and heading towards Tawoon Bay, which is where we are going. And the cut-off section is the bits moving forward from here because there was just so much traffic. So now we are almost at Tawoon Bay, a couple of turns and we're there. It's a great beach for kids, families. The surf isn't quite as big as some of the other locations, so it's just lovely. The tricky part about coming here was that Kim's Beach Resort does have a little bit of parking in it, but there's no parking obviously for visitors and what have you, so you kind of have to find parking just in the local area, and that's always tricky because it's a beach, so it's hard to find the parking at the beach. But we were in luck. A little bit further along here, it's only 50 kilometres an hour along here. It's a nice speed limit, isn't it? 50 kilometres an hour. I feel like it's just the perfect speed. Still allows you to have a bit of a look around, keep your eye on the traffic and watch where you're going. I was a bit nervous this truck was going to pull out in front of me, but we were okay. So we're pulling up now at Tawoon Bay, just at the end of this little street. Kim's Resort is to our left, and so I just decided to park right at the end, just near the pedestrian access to the beach. And I guess that's the beauty of being on a scooter, is that you can just kind of sneak into little spots just like that.